How to raise equity in Dubai Stock Exchange. This is what we are going to discuss today. How to raise money by selling your equity in the stock exchange. This is always an interesting concern for our clients. So today I thought I should give a brief process explanation in order to assist our clients more concisely. So today we will discuss that if you want to raise money and you want to be wider on your landscapes, you always have an option for IPOs. IPOs, as we know, that it stands for initial public offering. We can sell shares in stock exchange by using the mechanism of primary and secondary markets, and we can raise a public money and we can increase the size of the company through injection of this capital. Today I am going to explain you that we have a lot of stock exchanges in all over the world, so why you should choose Nasdaq Dubai based on its flexibility, its speediness, its requirement is quite easy to comprehend for an entity. This is I'm going to explain what are the requirements and what is the process and what things you should know in order to raise equity from the public sources. I will explain the landscape for Nasdaq Dubai, and I will explain certain advantages to be in this market. Raising money is very good. This is what our requirement, and how to raise money is of course through IPOs. I was reading a joke last night that there was a rich billionaire and he has a driver who used to drop his wife. So this billionaire used to work so hard, and one day he died. So after his death, of course, his wife got married to this driver. So then this driver said that, look, all the life I was thinking that I'm working for him, but now I came to know that he was working for me. So whatever money you raise, whatever money you make, you should of course make money, but you should also spend money in a very healthy way. This is out of the discussion of this topic, but coming back to IPOs, we will study today what is the time framework for IPOs. It's not that today you are thinking tomorrow you will launch your equity. It's not that way. There are certain procedures which take time. There is a legal process, there is a business plan, there is finding the investor, and there is compliances of Nasdaq Dubai that we have to understand. So we will discuss what is the IPO timetable. We'll see the regulator in Dubai. We have DFSA, Dubai Financial Service Authorities, which is very effective and very proceduralized, and they are having systematic approvals for IPOs which we have to go through. Of course, we should know the market rules. We should have a prospectus. Prospectus is the document that will explain your plans. What is the Nasdaq procedure in order to admit you in the process? I will share an IPO document checklist that is very important to maintain as a file while we are dealing with Nasdaq Dubai and DFSA. There is an accounting requirement, so what set of accounting records you need, what is the finance requirements, this is also we have to understand. Investor is really important, so how we communicate with investor, we have to educate a little bit of investor, because getting a public company is a totally altogether a different ball game. So we have to understand the pros and cons and the change in structures. This is very important for an investor to understand. So we give a little bit of education in terms of IPOs. I will also explain if you do IPOs in United States, and so what is rule 144A and what are the related regulations, so you can compare US with Nasdaq Dubai. That will create a comparative benchmark for you to understand. In the last, of course, we are going to discuss the pricing and allocation structures. Once you have successfully launched your IPOs, then there are some post IPOs requirement in order to maintain the market regulations. This is also we will discuss in our conversation today. So we'll start our discussion with the introduction of Nasdaq Dubai. Introduction of Nasdaq Dubai does not require any introduction. Everyone knows about that. You can much Google it and get more insight on it. This is an international stock exchange, and which is covering a larger markets in Middle East, and it's closer to Europe and Asia. So this is one of the center in terms of the IPOs and equity markets. Nasdaq is totally comparable with New York Stock Exchange, Hong Kong, Japan, and any other big stock exchange. These are totally comparable with Nasdaq Dubai in terms of their standards, efficiency, transparency, and other factors. Nasdaq Dubai is, of course, regulated by DFSA, Dubai Financial Services Authority, which is again a very exemplary regulator who knows things, and they are doing their best in order to regulate the market, make it more efficient, more transparent, more reliable, and attracting investors in this region. Nasdaq Dubai targets the values like integrity, innovation, and creativity, so there's a lot more for investors to invest in the market. Currently, the minimum capitalization required is $10 million. Previously, it was $50 million, so the investor has great options with them in order to, with this reduced amount of requirement for capitalization. Generally, you can ask that why we should go public, because if you are a private limited company and you have limited shareholders, money is in few hands, so you can think that why we should go for a public offering and change the structure altogether. Of course, there are a lot of consideration. First of all, whatever money you have, that is a limited money, but when you go to public, you have an access to a larger world investor. So if you're talking about bigger dreams, bigger projects, expansion into different markets, of course, the equity, you need money. Money is a reality. So if when your own sources has been exhausted, or you want further expansion, so it's a very ideal scenario to go public and issue IPOs. A lot of other reasons you can have, for example, respect, reputation. All blue chip companies, they are highly respectful because they are having their equities listed on their exchange. That is also that create an integrity, value, and a name for yourself in order to grow in the market more faster. Of course, when you are going to be a listed company, of course, you will adopt the corporate governance. Corporate governance is going to give you a very cutting edge in terms of strong administration within yourself. So you will have a board of directors, you have committees, you'll be regulated by a regulator, you have accounting requirements, you have fund requirements, you have asset maintenance requirements. So this all is going to formulate at the end of the day is an effective corporation which people can rely and trust, and they can put more money as injections which a company can use for their growth and their expansions for various projects. Nasdaq is really flexible. Some stock exchange ask you as a compulsory that you have to sell 50% of your equity, you have to float in the exchange, but Nasdaq Dubai requirement is 25%, which is quite flexible and quite doable. Nasdaq is a big brand, and if you associate Nasdaq with any exchange, it's increased its credibility. So launching your IPOs in Nasdaq is going to create a really nice impact for the reputation of your company, and it will ease out your requirement in order to gain more capital with you. Let's talk much about which professionals you are required in order to handle your IPOs. Of course, you need legal advisors who understand the contracts, who understand the terms and conditions, who can comply with the FSA rules and regulations. When you float, of course, someone has to buy, so you need to contact investment bankers. Investment bankers are the one who has access to investors, and based on your prospectus, your information, your plans, they can bridge you a right investor for you who will invest in the primary market in order to have a deal with you for the IPOs. Public relation companies are really important because they are the one who are going to increase your image, your respect, your awareness to the market. So you have to engage some public relation agencies as well. Of course, because under IPOs you are going to have a regulator, so regulator has a lot of financial reporting requirements and other compliances, risk, money laundering and other stuff. So you will need accountants and other professionals that will help you to develop a common understanding between you as an entity, and they will be capable to deal with the Nasdaq Dubai. So it will smooth out the process of your IPOs. In terms of IPO, a lot of investors and companies, they ask that how much is the time framework if I start working on their IPOs. So let's talk about the timetable. Let's assume it will, on average, an IPO is going to take 6 months. So let's break it into months, like month 1, what we are going to do. We'll start with financial, commercial, and due diligence and feasibility studies. That's what is the starting point. There will be a business plan preparation, of course. We will develop an equity story, that what is the motive of this equity, what is the need to launch this equity in the market. We'll appoint the valuator who is going to value this stock as a price. A new company, of course, cannot go directly for IPOs. You must have an old company as a private company. So there are preparation about your audits of the previous years, your financial statements, which are very important to prepare. And then, of course, the very important document is prospectus, that is going to explain who is your promoters, who are your directors, what your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, what your projects you are going to go, and what is your past performance. This is all has to be included in the prospectus. Of course, once we prepare the prospectus, it will be filed with the Dubai Financial Services Authority for the review and approvals. Once DFSA has reviewed and approved, we can go for its printing and it can be given to the right investors. We do need an auditor comfort letter regarding this prospectus. Then we will start PR process and how it will move. It will have a presentation for the analyst. As a presentation we will make. It will include, we will have an analyst briefing, intention to float announcements, publication to the research report that we did according to the main concept of the business. We will determine the price range. Most of the time we conduct road shows in order to attract the investors, so you can choose some markets where the potential investor is going to invest. This we can achieve through a road show. There will be a book building process, pricing and settlement, then trading and platform. And of course, once we float the IPOs, then there will be a stability period. Generally, we say 30 days. So we can summarize that there will be IPO preparation, there will be some stakeholder involved, and the process will be executed till the IPO will be actually floated. Let's discuss the time framework for the legal documentation. So how it will go: first, the company is going to appoint an advisor. There will be an initial meeting with DFSA and Nasdaq Dubai in order to discuss and show your intentions. Once you understood the requirement and do your homework, then you have to submit this prospectus. It will be only a draft prospectus. And that time you can launch your initial application for trading, and same way you can apply for the approval of prospectus. Once DFSA is going to approve this, you will file the application for final listing followed by a final trading application. DFSA is going to grant you a conditional listing, and Nasdaq Dubai is going to grant you a conditional approval for trading. On the listing date, you will be allowed admission to the list, of course, and trading on Nasdaq. So this is the legal process in terms of legal documentation for IPOs. What are the market rules, like what things are important to know? I already explained you. Minimum capitalization is currently $10 million. 25% of the equity you minimum as you should float in the exchange. Share must be fully paid, and it should be free from any lien or any kind of mortgages. In terms of financials, of course, your financials should be in aligned with IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. Then, of course, at least 3-year audited financial statements are required as per the market norms and rules. If you have a group of companies, then we need the consolidated financial statements. In terms of IPOs, management is really important. Some markets are very cautious about the promoters, directors, with their scale, abilities, education, experience, competencies. So this is also need to be handled in a nice way. And of course, the most important is the working capitals. You should have an ability to pay your short-term debts and obligations. So there will be a special requirement for working capital as well. Let's discuss the prospectus requirement. What are the key features in a prospectus? What a prospectus should have, it should have 3-year audited accounts, financial statements, it should have working capital statement, it should have management decision and analysis, it should be in English language, and it should be concise and comprehensive. Any kind of risk factors should be covered into. We have to define the business. What is the description of the business? Strength and strategies, industry review, analysis, overview of the market. There will be some general terms like what is the reason that you want to float your equity. So you have to have a very strong logics for that. Dividend policies are very important in order to engage your investor and keep them growing. What is your dividend policy? This is also need to be mentioned. Of course, as I just said, that the promoters, directors, who are the key players, this is you need to mention in the prospectus as well. There is no ownership issues. You can own 100% of the equity in the area. So in the last, we will discuss the checklist that if we have 1, 2, 3, so then we are ready for our IPOs. There is an application form which is called DFSA listing application form. We have DFSA approved prospectus, 3-year audited financial statements in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, certificate of incorporation, board resolutions authorizing issues and allotment of the securities, raising of capital and filing the DFSA listing application form, memorandum and article of association, directors' undertakings. These requirements are for DFSA, Dubai Financial Services Authority. Now let's discuss what is the checklist for Nasdaq Dubai. A duly completed trading application form, certified copy of article of associations, certified copies of board resolution regarding issue and allotments of shares, raising of capital. audited annual reports and financial statements. They require DFSA approved prospectus, executed Nasdaq issued issuer agreement if applicable. Once you submit all these documents, of course you will be able to get your IPOs done, and then the next process of handling the prices will start.